Hi, you're listening to Everyday Superpower, a place where you can learn about body language and how to read others purely through the subconscious signals their body creates and projects into the world, alright? So, what we're going to be talking about today is a sexual display. And what I want you to do before we jump into it is, if you are interested in learning about body language, click like, click subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment by the end of it if there's anything you want to comment on. And let's get into it. So, today we're talking about smoking as a sexual display, right? So, the media in particular and advertising, maybe not as much as of recent, as we're starting to sway into a more health conscious society, but in films of the old, smoking had always been portrayed as sexy, okay? So if you consider the man in a black and white film offering a light to a woman's cigarette as a form of courtship, you can understand where this bonding mechanism comes from and this sexuality with the smoking. So if you consider this happening, what happens? The hands touch, potentially. Eye contact is made, and it creates the transactional you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, which we humans participate in, such as our primitive ancestors, such as the apes of today. Okay? So, smoking emphasizes differences of the sex. It allows a woman to expose her wrists, her delicate wrists, to the world. It exposes the armpit of a woman. Okay? It accentuates the lips. It draws attention to the feminine lips as they pucker to blow smoke. Okay? When we think about the cigarette, how it's shaped, it's a phallic shaped object. Okay? So the entire process of smoking is doused in eroticism. Alright? People fetishize smoking. There's a large community of smoking fetishists. You're just one Google search away from discovering that, if you're unaware. And there is a heap of factors involved as to why people would be interested in such, alright? So, let's talk about the body language. Movement attracts attention. I've done a video on this. How do you attract attention? Well, you create movement, right? For survival mechanism, we pay attention to that which moves. For survival mechanism, implemented in our subconscious brain, we pay attention to the hands just as much as any other body part, because the hands can be used as weapons, alright? So when the hand of the woman comes up to the mouth, creating an arrow to the mouth so she can suck on that phallic object, it creates a subconscious air of sensuality. The exposure of the wrist. Why do we talk about the wrist? Because the wrist is what a woman will use to show submission towards a man they feel attracted to. We don't expose these areas to potential predators purely as they're sensitive areas, okay? We'd be in trouble if our wrists were to be injured in any way, alright? So when we expose it to people, we're submitting and we're saying, I am going to expose myself to show that I'm not fearful of you hurting me. I'm comfortable around you to a degree where I'm going to expose myself. So if you consider a cat who doesn't necessarily like having their stomach touched, but they will lie on their back and expose their stomach to you, that's a sign of comfort around you, alright? Now, let's talk about a little bit of a darker aspect of smokers. So, it carries a message that the woman is willing to do that which is not in her best interest. Because smoking isn't healthy, so if she's willing to sort of harm herself in such a way, it means that there is a capability of her being, put in a specific position as to which is up to the mind of the man. Alright, we speak about submission and dominance. If we've just been talking completely about the submissive aspect of smoking and the exposure it creates, that gives the man the dominant position. That's the natural order of things, the dominant man and the submissive woman. So if the woman is showing and exposing the submissive side and saying, I'm willing to do that as to which isn't necessarily healthy for me, it goes to show she might be interested in something more than which is traditional. Alright? If you're both smokers, such as when we talked about the individual giving the lighter to the woman, if you were to share a cigarette, it creates that transactional asking and receiving relationship between you, okay? It creates bonds and friendships. One of the strongest way to make friends is to connect in this evolutionary, primitive, hardwired zone as to where we have, since the dawn of man, shared food with those whom we are getting along with in our tribe. So when we share food with each other, it creates a very deep message from sender to receiver. Now, it's not as deep as the food, but the transactional basis is still there when it comes to the offering of a cigarette or the offering of a lighter, okay? It's basic persuasion and it's used in sales, okay? So just to re-clarify, we've just spoken about smoking as a sexual display. In particular, we've spoken about women and why it can be deemed as sexy for a woman to smoke. There's varying factors and there's more to talk about. I think I'm going to do a series based upon the fetish aspects of these behaviours and why people are attracted in particular to specific behaviours, particular body parts and so on and so forth. It all links biologically, it all links to a regressive state of mind as to where we were young, if not where we're wired to on an ancestral basis. I hope this has been of interest. If you enjoyed what you heard, if you've had some food for thought, feel free to click like, click subscribe. As always, I'm signing out. Goodbye.